What's up, man? I'm getting raped good. It's bombtheweapon.com. The radiation just comes from multiple directions, man. And constructs holographic energy. As you know, as radiation passes through, it has a variety of non-biological health effects. And biological health effects. And resonates your atoms and vibrates things and massages and creates a variety of forces inside of you, including stuff to rape you with. The government set out to program this thing to rape people for torture. And they created this dystonic reaction in me, like they did something so orgasms would hurt me. So that every time my muscles clamp down and I just go into shock. So whatever they did over the years, it hurt me good. And they put this in me. You know, they programmed it. They did something. Tweaked me. Could have been done with antidepressants and a combination of this weapon. So that they could get me. Creating hypersensitivity in my whole nervous system. Changed the normal function. You know. There's a normal biological function, and then they have the ability to just radically change it. The old function's gone, new functions, you know, put in. So, the voice of God weapon, let's talk about that. What is the voice of God weapon? It's more than just a voice, okay? The government uses this on a religious person exclusively, or a person who doesn't even believe, to harass them. This is a voice of God weapon. Ooh, you're gonna listen to God. You lived your whole life without religion, and it'll say, "You think I don't exist? How am I talking to you?" Well, a religious person, you have this guy who's devoted to religion. He's reading the Bible. He wanted to be. He's like studying under the priests, or whatever. He's just completely devoted himself. And there's actually still a lot of teenagers who do that, where they just train, and they're 18, and they're still training, and they're practicing this so fucking closely. So a person like that is gonna be manipulatable. Because they believe in it so fucking much. And, well, the book of Bible is full of a lot of delusions and crazy shit. And you hear about people being talked to, hearing God, being prophets, powers, and stuff being done, rising from the dead. If anyone is to truly believe any of that, they are susceptible and dangerous. And the government identified that. First of all, it's part of mass programming of people because they love people to be influenceable. By thinking that there's something outside controlling everything, you know, like some deity commanding them to live certain ways, who doesn't exist. Man creates all of it. So, anyway, with the voice of God. The voice of God is, if you are one of these persons so devoted to God, you might believe that you could be made a prophet if you heard someone talking to you. So what you're gonna hear is the government identifies you as who that person is to manipulate. They go, "John, I see you reading the Bible. How would you like to become part of the master plan? Don't just study this, become part of the master plan, what I have in store for mankind. There's just one thing you need to do. Before I can really tell you anything, you must earn my trust. You have to kill your wife. You know, because she's been sleeping with your brother Brady, and there's something dangerous about that. If they're allowed to continue, and she's gonna have his baby. So John, you need to kill your wife, because that baby cannot come into this world. If you kill your wife, I will bring you into a master plan. The master plan, we have to prevent the devil from rising. Okay? Lucifer shall not live. He shall not come onto this earth. You have 7 days to kill your wife. Now, a person who truly believed in all this, I think he was actually being talked to by God. That God had commanded him to do this. And the dialogue could be significantly more religious. And conspiratorial and supernatural. It can even be customized to what that person thinks the voice of God is going to sound like. Maybe he's seen too many movies growing up and he already knows what the God's going to sound like. So, they could actually target your brain to stimulate what you think God sounds like. So you'll hear that voice that was created in your mind already. The other way of doing that is just to EEG memory probe you. So they already know, and so they can they beam in the voice synthesized to sound exactly like everything you ever thought. The potential of this weapon, it's amazing. You have someone stoned with this. You could have, you have the whole population under your control. Thousands of people, potentially. Religious leaders as well. You just tap right in. You have a religious leader who does not believe in anything the government is. Suddenly he's hearing the voice of God, okay? He's talking to God. He's being influenced in unnatural ways. Do you think they're going to tell you they're talking to God? Or will they just say, I heard a premonition from God? Or how does it come out, And if they don't tell you that they're being influenced by somehow, how do you figure out what's going on? The thing about it is, the government actually has this in place to do it anywhere and everywhere. It's all radar and satellite based, so they tap into any leader, any person, even poor people. You never know when you're in a mental institution, you see someone there, you don't know why they're there. Are they really hearing voices from their own brain, or is it someone else doing it? That's how sophisticated it is, actually, because there's people who it's exclusively generated to the government. They just flip a switch. It's automated. It's programmed. It'll follow the person around, keep doing everything to them. It's effortless once the technology is built and deployed. Duncan's talked about this. Robert Duncan, he said they'll go torture someone and then all of a sudden they'll be hearing voices. Oh my God, that's freaky. In fact, there was an example of this in Oregon recently. The guy who was a witness who did 2 years in jail, more than 2 years, 3 years. So what they did was they arrested the witness because they were thinking he's gonna flee. He's a witness. They want him to testify, and against his son or whatever. And then there was also, I think, a brother. The brother was also in jail, and all of a sudden he just comes down with psychosis in jail. Now, either the jail broke him, because it can create psychosis. You know, your brain patterns change immediately. You're in isolated conditions, called solitary confinement. And 10 years go by, you'll definitely have schizophrenia. Especially if you're in the supermax, the worst of it, with no human contact at all. And, but with Duncan, he was saying, you know, this weird thing with they'll just be torturing someone, then all of a sudden they come down with psychosis. Really? It wasn't all planned, it was all part of the game. They're using it like that on people. So this kid in custody who gets psychosis, did he really get psychosis, or did some violent prosecutors and police officers set him up? That's something you can never tell. There's no way to know. The technology is being used exactly like that all over the place. So the person, you can't perceive if you're being remotely controlled either, unless they want to let you know. It's that good. You'll just experience it, and you're having it done. And most people, they're educated on mental illness before this happens, so they might even believe they have a mental illness. That's how good it is. They might even think that they have one. They're like, oh my God, I'm hearing voices. The technology is designed to work just like that. It's progressed that far. It'll reach anybody through the earth. It penetrates deep to the core. So with that range, it reaches everywhere. So what do you do? There's nowhere, you can't go anywhere. As Duncan said, and he's not the I thought I was saying this last year. It was funny to see Duncan say what I had said, that there is no shielding. What do? You build some fucking superconducting magnet shield around you? But how the fuck do you do that, dude? You have to chill it, keep it cold, you know, to make the material superconducting, and you're pumping it full of electrons. You're trying to make it so that you can actually sustain the superconducting magnet shield. It's designed to reflect radar signals and satellite signals. It's the only thing that'll work, because the technology penetrates everything: mountains, steel, buildings, crappy Faraday cages. You can't build a Faraday cage without blocking everything. Stone can said to be very cold in a superconducting magnet shield. Can you ever build one good enough to protect yourself and to cover everything all around you? Because it has to be totally encompassing to be safe, to actually work, block all directions, under you, above you, side to side, front to back. It's got to be like a little coffin or a box. And then it's going to be potentially putting forces into you, so you need something that shields yourself from that. You need to make it so it's like one-way directional or some shit. That's a lot of engineering. Very expensive. You can't build something like this on your own. This is military that has that type of stuff. Only they have that level of anything. Engineering, access to technology and money for it. And millions of dollars to make it something like this easily. It's the only thing that'll work. Their surveillance is that good. It's not just humans that are targets, everything. Everything is vulnerable. So that means that they can tap into anything. You have a data center, they tap that, the computers in it are vulnerable to remote tampering and access. So you have no privacy security from this. This is a special access program or top secret program. It's really high up there. It's so classified. But a lot of people have access to this. Middle class people. There's a lot of police officers, prosecutors, state employees, members of the public. They're actually using this type of crap all over, man. The world is violent. People talking about the mafia being a problem, and the mafia this, and the union that could pay any Democrat off, and this and that, and well, they're all together on a lot of this stuff. So protects them. They think they have power. They're given a little bit of the access to it all, and that's enough to keep them forever supporting the monster, the machine, the regime. So they think they have power. They're being protected, and they do a lot of bad stuff with it. People become targets, the poor especially. Certain people who aren't in their system, their clique. Even some rich people. I've heard about rich people becoming targets. It's really expanded. The more time it goes on, it expands farther and farther to more people. So, especially over the last decade and the last few years it's really expanding. Contractors like hospitals, healthcare providers, federal and local contractors are involved in all this stuff. Universities, just like forever, like long time, DARPA, CIA funded stuff, like I was talking about. Well, there's secret stuff out there, man. And it's not that secret. It's mostly exposed. Most of the stuff, you're not going to find like a good written fucking Washington Post article on this. They just don't put it all together. They don't put together the pieces. They never get access to the juiciest documents or information. But it sits out there in isolated sectors. And the victims know the most. The victims of it all. Who are all isolated. They're all over the place. I'm one of them. I'm one of them, alright. The voice of God's incredible. Just imagine yourself thinking Jesus is talking to you or something. Just think about that. That's insane. It's insane that people are being taught that they could ever hear anything like that, or that gods existed. Men are the gods. We're the most advanced species on the planet. We're made up of everything that everything else is made up of. We control everything. We can make anything and build anything. We are the ones. We program each other. We tell each other lies. Oh God, this and that, or white lies, or we hide stuff about how the governments in the world work. That really keeps people in the dark. They grow up not even knowing that the real deity is the executive branch. He's the one running the show, and the intelligence community everywhere. They set up these little pods of communities everywhere. They're all controlled. That you grow up in it, being programmed by it. Every message you're ever told, every bit of education you're given, everything that's held from you that you never get. So you're a product of that, and most people never get how deep it goes. That everything is being controlled that way. You know, like, man, classification, secret laws, all that stuff is there for a reason. The conspiracies of everything, the poverty we all live in that we can't get out of, and the unequalness, the class system, the class war, it's all in their control. They are creating it. They have created it through laws and bad policies that haven't. They set it all up, and we're living in it, and it's unfair. We're all living in it. It's a system designed to give them power and make it so the people at the bottom don't have any power. Everyone powerless. Can't get out. You're not free, you know? You're not free at all. You're living by their rules. And if you don't live by their rules, you get homeless really fast and broke and desolate and imprisoned. You get targeted if you speak out about it. You will be targeted. That's the primary purpose of surveillance. You are a terrorist if you speak out, or if you go against them, or you complain, you're a target. And they can do anything to you. They got the local stuff, the LRADs, the pepper spray, the guns to kill people with, the fucking batons, and the gases, and fucking grenades. They got that. And then they got remote stuff. They're fucking scanning everyone with electronic warfare. Fucking like using satellites on them and shit. That's secret stuff. Tapping all the fiber optic cables and shit. They're listening to every fucking call. Computer algorithms help them scan through shit. Oh yeah, they got access to it all. And there's no log of who's using it for what. All the local officials got it, all the police and sheriffs. The primary users are the local officials. They got tanks now. Did you see that? They got the big armored cars. Come on, man. Wake up and see what's around you now. They have a lot of power. And they have hurt a lot of people. And they're controlling us. I watched the Occupy protest in New York. I was like watching the police using this. I knew they were secretly spying on all the protesters. Just watching them, laughing at them behind the scenes. Knew the protesters had nothing compared to what they had. They were full control. They weren't afraid at all. The protesters, the people camping out and everything were total cannon fodder. That's the way it's being used. That's why they got their attitude towards everybody. Because they know. They're against us. Their policy is to shoot to kill and to assault and to put people in jail and prison. There's no fairness. They don't go to jail or prison. But you do, right? Everyone else does. They laugh when you say, I'm going to file a lawsuit. They laugh their ass off at that. They're like, yeah, so what? It's not going to stop us. It's not going to prevent us from doing this. It hasn't made a dent. Decades and decades it went by. Nothing's made a dent. See? That's why they laugh. They laugh because most people's lawsuits don't even target the problem. It's so fucking hidden too. It's so fucking hidden. Parallel construction. You want to file a punk lawsuit that doesn't even cover half of what was going on? Go right ahead.